right. With 10 minutes left to go, let's jump over to more live questions. I see people chatting and waving their hands, so I'm sure something. Yeah, go for it.
Hi, John. I have a question for you.
Okay.
It's regarding a site with the exact match domain. So initially the site had maybe about 4 or 5 pages. The site was still in development. And it was ranking fairly well, like the second or third page. And then after some time we see a huge drop, and it's dropped to about 166 at the moment. It's a fairly low competition keyword. So we're assuming that it's some sort of algorithm that's hit it. The site only has about 10 links so far. 50% of these links are relevant links, and the other links are like general bot links and so forth. Can you give me any advice on recovering from this? There's no manual action really.
It's really hard to say without actually looking at the pages. So in general, an exact match domain doesn't mean that we'll show it in search for those keywords in that domain. On the almost contrary, what we do sometimes is if we recognize that it's the exact match domain and the content is kind of lower quality, then we might assume that this is kind of a spammy website. But that's really based on the content quality itself. That's not something where I'd say you have an exact match domain, therefore it'll never show up in search. But I just caution away from assuming that an exact match domain will assume it'll rank for search, because that's not always the case. You might have all of the keywords in your domain name and it still won't show up in search. That's not, okay, we look into a lot more factors than that. So my guess there would be that I consider working on the content instead of just focusing on the domain and on the existing rankings. And I wouldn't assume that it's something that will automatically pop back up. Instead, I try to figure out what you can do to improve the quality of the content across the board so that we can recognize this is something that's really relevant and really important that we should show in search.
Okay, I wanted to ask you a question about